All right, so what we're going to cover in this step is to show you how to get your data out to your controller and synchronize it with your controller so that you can start your stakeout process using Trimble Sitework. So at this stage, you've got your data all cleaned up and ready to go. So we can go back to Trimble Connect into our projects. And on your controller, what you need to do is go open up the Trimble Connect website, log into Trimble Connect in your project. So log in with your Trimble ID. And then you want to go to the Download Connect app. So if you haven't done this already, we covered this in another guide in the overview of Trimble Connect, where we talked about synchronizing your Trimble Connect cloud data with your desktop. So this would be the same thing, that your survey controller running Windows is just like a desktop or a tablet. So, whether you're on let's say a Surface or a laptop, or in this case, what we want to do is get it out to a TSC 7, T7, T100, any Windows, basically Windows device. So you're going to download this Trimble Connect Sync app. And when you do that and install it, you may have to do a refresh or a restart. And what'll happen is you'll get this right here. And you'll notice that this window will pop up on your tablet and it'll list all your projects. One of the things you want to make sure before you start synchronizing is to go to settings, and you want to go down to sync, and you want to set this default projects folder location to your Trimble Synchronizer data, Trimble SCS 900 data folder. So when you go to browse, you'll see that I've got this set to Trimble Synchronizer data. Because I'm actually on a PC, it's going to show PC, but this would be your controller. And then you're just going to pick the Trimble SCS 900 data folder. So you're going to have that set. All right, so that's the first thing you need to do. And then what you're going to do is you're going to click on Synchronize. Now I'm going to synchronize this CAD Viewer demo first because that's the one that we were just in. And if we take a look here, we've got two folders. We've got CAD files and PDF files. And what I want to show you is on your desktop, if you open up the window browser, you'll see this is our Windows or File Explorer. You'll see Windows, Trimble Synchronizer data, Trimble SCS 900 data, and you'll see that that project, which is CAD Viewer Demo, does not show up here. So when we go into SiteWorks and create our project, we're only going to see these particular projects that have already been set up. So I'm going to leave this open because you'll see what happens. When I come over here, if you click on Advanced, just to be sure, you want to make sure that this folder as well is set to that same path. So if I click on this, that pencil, you'll see that it's under Trimble Synchronizer Data, SCS 900, and you'll see that it's actually going to the CAD Viewer Demo folder. All right, now let me back up for a minute and take a look at this one. So if we look at this one, you'll see that that one, same thing, it's going to that particular folder. Now notice when I click on those, it showed up over here, right? So there's that CAD Viewer Demo. So as soon as you set that path gets created on your desktop. So now that we have that, let me go back to this one. If I click on Sync, I'll be able to synchronize my folders. So let me go to this my first project here, and I click on Sync. You'll see that these are the folders that I have set up. I've got CAD files, design, work orders, background image, and site XML. And you'll notice that they're all set to download. So when I click on Sync Now, what will happen is those folders will show up under my first project. There's those folders and even the site XML. Now I'm going to back up a second and I'm going to go to the SiteWorks Advanced. Let's take a look at that one. And you can see that that folder is set, the same thing, right? Now if I back out here, there's that SiteWorks project. Now, if I click on sync, you'll see it's got work order, background images, CAD files, and designs, but no site XML. And I'm doing this to show you what happens. Either way, it's fine if you have it, but if in your Connect project, I'll synchronize that one. If in your Connect project, let's go back to all projects and click on my first project, you'll see that I've got the folder for background images. That's the folder that gets created when you create a Trimble SiteWorks project. The designs, the work orders, and when you actually set the site XML. So if you set these folders up in your Trimble Connect project and you use that project as the template for future projects, then you'll be able to sync and put data in these folders, and data will go from SiteWorks to these folders. So it's kind of a two-way exchange. All right. So if now I go into Trimble SiteWorks and we go to project setup and I change my setup, you can see that I can go to my first project, or if I go to that SiteWorks sync project, this case, because I didn't have that site XML, it's going to ask me to go ahead and set up the units. So this will create that site XML. We'll be able to go in to pick that project. We'll create a new work order. So maybe this is, steak parking or steak site. And then we want to create our design. So we'll create our design. We'll call it, whatever we're going to name it, parking. And then the design line work, when we click on that, you'll see that we'll be able to go into that SiteWorks Sync project under CAD files, and we would have that CAD file if we had set it up in this project. All right, so let's go back out and let's do, I'm going to cancel that for now. And let's go to that other one. So we go to project, change projects. I go to my first project this time instead of the Trimble Sync project. Okay. And I click on here and we go same thing, parking. Work order is going to be steak, parking lot, or whatever we want to name it. Some instructions. We'll create our design. Same thing, we'll call it parking. And then we will go to select our line work. And in my first project, under CAD files, there's our site plan drawing. We'll go to accept that. We'll finish. And we will accept. And now we can start staking it out. Now you'll notice that we got a bunch of other line works because we didn't delete this line work from that site file, but we kept it in there in case maybe you need it. If you take a look, we can zoom in. If I zoom in on this, you can see we've got some call outs. So if we actually had the elevations, we'd be able to see what the elevations of the curbs were. So we could actually use that to stake out those, set those points, or mark the lath or whatever it is you're staking, paint it on the ground. You'd be able to use the other CAD data. Now we don't need this CAD data, so we're going to go into our data management, or I'm sorry, not our data management. We're going to go into our settings under map display settings, go to our layers, and we'll unselect everything. And then we'll just turn on the layers that we want to stake. So we want to stake our curb, our building, concrete pads, maybe our construction fence, and the property line. So when we accept that, now we've turned off everything else except the information that we actually want to stake out. So now we can just pick on the building, and let me back out of that. And we can pick on the building here and stake the line, and we can start staking out that building, using either, whether we're using RTK or UTS, we could start laying out the building. Now, if we measure or actually do anything within this work order, then that data will be saved. So if I come in and we'll go ahead and connect to our receiver here, and let's say that we were actually collecting some additional information. So if I was to come in and start measuring some points. And actually, let's just go ahead and we'll measure a line. All right, so we can measure a point. Maybe it's a feature. We'll click OK. Maybe we want to measure a new line, right? So maybe this is just a line, and we'll hit accept. And then we can start collecting that line. I just want to collect a couple points so that now we have that measured data. So now when you go over here and go to data management and export the measured data as a DXF file, we're going to give it a file name. You can see that it's going to that parking lot output. And I'm going to say that this is additional line work. Maybe we need that for our site. I'm going to hit accept. We'll go ahead and accept that. So again, we've exported that data. Now that data gets exported out. So if we go to our Trimble Synchronizer folder now, and again, we go back to my first project, click on sync, you can see here there's a conflict with the site XML, which we're not going to worry about. But if we look under the parking lot, you'll see that we've got the site plan, and the output is really what we're looking for. So here's the additional line work and even the text. So if we click sync now, it's going to send that data back to our Trimble Connect project. Right? So it says failed. If you view activity, it'll show you what's been sent. And we're not worried about these files because these files are text files and they're in use by Siteworks. So if we close Siteworks down and then synchronize, those would go. But we're really not concerned about those errors or those files actually being sent back to uh, Connect. So now we come back in here and we look at the work order and we look at the output, there's that DXF file. So now within Connect, we can take a look at that back in the CAD viewer, and we can see that line that we've collected. So we could use that, as data, maybe to create a map or display something. So it would be basically your as-built data. So there's the line and the topo point that we collected. So now you've got a CAD file that can be shared with others on the project team to show maybe what was being constructed or some feature that they need to look for, when they're doing it. But you can see here, it's pretty easy to get data from Connect into your tablet, into your Trimble Siteworks, and then collecting data from Siteworks and then sending it back to Trimble Connect. So hopefully that helps, kind of gives you an idea how to explain it. The key is having the Trimble Sync set up. So let's close that. Is having that Trimble Sync set up and making sure that your paths are correct when you're doing this.